Hey, hey y'all. So there's a lot of verses in the Bible that talk about worry. There's some more famous verses. I'm sure you know that one verse that talks about worrying does nothing for tomorrow, worrying does nothing to your life, and that is true. But I think this is evident for what God wants to say to you today. Philippians 4:6. Again, that's Philippians 4:6. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, yet your request be known to God. The question of this video is what do we worry about? And like I say also in the description, it's interesting what we do worry about. Because you ever notice how we seem, I'm not going to say this is a 100% ratio, but it seems like we worry the most about what we can't control. And I mean, you don't have to be a figure that out, but what's interesting is we don't worry about things we can control as much. Not we don't worry at all, but it seems that we don't worry as much about things we can control. And why it's interesting why that would be. Because I mean honestly, God, like I've talked about before, God provides even the most basic fundamental needs for you. Like you cannot breathe on your own. You don't think about breathing. You don't it's not something you possess, it's not something that you can gain access to. God needs to put the breath of life in you when you're born. When Adam and Eve, when God first created Adam, He put the breath of life in his young. Adam did not. Adam did not alive himself. I mean, God put the breath of life in his young. So when we realize that, it's not a 100% that we just figure out, oh, I don't need to worry about even I don't need to worry about even what I can control because I can control whether whether I live or die at the start. I'm not in charge of my own breathing. God is. God allows breath in your young, and I'm not conscious of that fact. I can't do it on my own. But be anxious for nothing, but in everything prayer and dedication, with thanksgiving yet your request be known to God. Interesting too, because we, and I'm sure you've heard some version of this, these secular people and even some Christian people may have a hard time wrapping their mind around this. But secular people often go, well, they often go basically, hey, pray for something. God said to pray for something. Yeah, like how they it's 40 days. It's 40 days in the desert. Oh, God said to pray for something. God said to pray in supplication and all that. But what happens when it doesn't come to fruition? Oh, it must not be real. God, my prayer wasn't answered in that exact way. Most of that selfish prayers. I'm not, yeah, most of they are selfish prayers. Funny how that works. But they say, oh, my prayer hasn't come to fruition, so that's off the table. I mean, God must not care about me, God must not exist. They even the simultaneous space where they quote believe God doesn't exist, don't believe in God, but also hate him. Also blame him for everything wrong in the world. Conveniently forgetting and obfuscating that hey, if you give credit for God existing, you've got to give credit to the devil too. And by credit, I mean you've got to acknowledge it. You've got to you've got to say, oh well, if I acknowledge God exists, I mean this devil character, he doesn't he's responsible for everything wrong in the world, as the Bible dictates. He's the one who deceived us. He's the one who, I mean, would we chose evil for ourselves? I mean, the devil didn't make us do that, but he is the one who deceived. He is the one who lied to us. It's interesting too, because that basically makes it known. Hey, let your request be known to God, and He'll fulfill it. Is what it's basically implying. My I was thinking about this. Well, I guess I always think about this from time to time. It's always back in the back of my mind. My cousin, he has constant migraines. He has constant migraines, and they've been to the doctor, they've been to specialists, physically humanly possible they've been through. But one night, my cousin had a dream, and I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go specifically into the details. I might get it wrong. I think I remember it pretty well, but still, he had a dream, and when he woke up, his headaches were completely gone. The dream basically sounded to me as a fact, like God speaking to him, an angel speaking to him, and saying, "Oh, he's gonna love this. He's gonna really enjoy this." And after he woke up, his headaches were completely gone. His headaches have come back now, unfortunately, but that's not really the point. The point is, God will, even if that's not permanent, God will give you glimpses into His glory to motivate you to not give up. Because it is because it is very hard. It is very difficult to not. It is very difficult to keep the faith when you don't see any fruit. When you don't see any fruition. Not that it can't be done. It should be done. It's commanded to be done. But it can be very difficult to do that for people. People can live. Find themselves alone in the depths of despair if they don't have something to fall back on. Yeah, I could say his headaches are back, unfortunately, but he was reminded of the fact that God can take them away anytime He wants. And maybe God will on this side of heaven, I don't know. But he was reminded, more importantly, not to give up, not to wallow in despair. I mean, he's continued to live his life. He's married. He has a beautiful. Well, I won't say. Well, I almost said baby girl, but she's 3 years old now. But she'll always be his baby girl. I know. But he has a beautiful. That's one other thing about worry. Worry can paralyze, and worry can stop you in your tracks. And worry can say to you, which this is the devil ultimately saying to you, not worry in and of itself. Worrying is just a tool that the devil uses. But it can ultimately say to you, oh, what's the point? What's the point in going on? What's the point of persevering? What's the point of waiting? Because a lot of times we just have to wait, and we just have to be patient for the right moment. And God showed me time and time again when His word needs to be preached and when it doesn't, when I have to just hold off and when I have to go on ahead. And I'm so He's shown that. I'm so He's shown that to the art of you. That there's a time and place when He wants His word to be focused, a time and place that He can get His most glory. So we just had to be patient and delight ourselves in God, delight ourselves in the Lord, and He'll give us the desires of our heart. And that's interesting too, because most people can think of that, the desires of the heart, meaning the true desires of your heart, meaning if you go to God, I mean first and foremost, your desires will align with His. But although God has keener and better desires to give you, what deep down in your soul, deep down in your heart, then you can think of yourself. Most of us, we may want money, and that's not a bad thing. God can turn that desire for monetary gain into monetary gain, but monetary gain to help others. I mean, monetary gain for us, hey, I can't take it to heaven. Everything's vanity. Everything is vain except the salvation of God. That is what's truly eternal. Interesting about the rich man and the rich. Yeah, the rich man had all of these rich